And why do you need slave labor to build your empire if the scriptures say, I'm going to give you a land of milk and honey? Mm-hmm. Mr. Kazar, something ain't adding up. So this is untold history. And because this was produced by the Muslims, the power structures that be want to taint it. When I double check what Wikipedia said about this, know what Wikipedia called this? Pseudo research. This is pseudo research, but your research, you see, just because it's online, you can't accept it. What happened when we Google Rubicon? If we stop with those first couple images, we'll think we're behind enemy lines, family. Let's go to page 46. Page 46.
And just another point here, it just shows too, because you know they predominantly in New York and stuff, right? And it tells that here, the early New Yorkers sought to purchase slaves. They contracted the jobbers and the Jews. What is that saying then? Who are those Jews that they contracted to purchase?
Untold history. Untold history.
On page 46, it says, in more than one southern town, wrote University of North Carolina professor Leah Hagedorn, the area where the Jews lived was referred to as fondly as Little Jerusalem. Jews boasted of their closeness to their Gentile Dixie compatriots. Continue.
Nah, just pointing out that, like Shemoyah said, how y'all the people of the book and the Most High promised to give you land, and you over here in this area calling it Little Jerusalem. That's disrespectful. Disrespectful. Let's move on. Let's go to page 55. Page 55.
Page 55. For their ethical stand, the Quakers faced not a single act of retribution from their larger body of Americans. On the other hand, evidence shows that Jewish Americans were publicly and privately hostile to abolitionism, and that a substantial number fought vehemently for the rights of slaveholders.
Read that again out.
On the other hand, evidence shows that Jewish Americans were publicly and privately hostile to abolitionism, and that a substantial number fought vehemently for the rights of slaveholders.
So the fish people didn't want to bother the Quakers, because the Quakers for a minute did have slaves, but because they really believed in the Bible, they started coming away from slavery. The Quakers did. But the fish people didn't attack the Quakers. They let the Quakers be. But the other white abolitionists, the fish people attacked them and started campaigns to support slavery. That's what he's saying, family. Let's move on to page 82. Page 82 to 83. Southern fish. Southern fish or fake-ish people.
The behavior of the Southern Jews towards the Black neighbors. The fundamental tenet of today's Black-Jewish relationship is the belief that Blacks and Jews are linked by a history of shared suffering at the hands of white Gentile oppressors, but not a single Jewish historian can be found who supports this claim.
So they say they want to claim that they are our brothers in suffering. Yeah, y'all Blacks been suffering and us Jews been suffering too. But he says when you talk to their scholars and read their scholars' books, not one fish scholar supports that claim. Y'all ain't been through no persecution. Read on.
Albert Lindemann is one of many scholars who concede that Southern Jews did not openly or prominently sympathize with the plight of the lower orders, whether Black or white.
They don't care about Black or white. All they care about is money. Money, money, money. So they don't even have enough sense of brotherhood for a white man. That's what I'm telling y'all. It's not a skin doctrine, stupid Berean. It's not a skin doctrine. These people don't care if you white or black. They care. That's what I'm telling you. Talking about rappers are Illuminati. You're a broke nigga to these people. These people got train smoke money.
Just a puppet.
You came up and had to work for your billions. You're a peasant to them. I inherited. I grew up and I was born in a Rolls Royce. I didn't have to go to. They brought the Rolls Royce to my house. You went to the lot to buy it. That's how they look at you, dummy. You chasing them. They don't care about your skin color. They tell their children, you shouldn't be playing with Gina. Mom, Gina's nice though. I know, but can Gina come to our birthday party?
No. They scared you're gonna find out.
Shut up.
They mess around and ask in front of you. I don't think she want to come. She don't want to be involved in.
She don't even want to come over here.
They tell their children we're not supposed to be around these people. Let's read on out.
Dr. Weisbord and Stein, authors of a respected book on Blacks and Jews, are similarly convinced that despite the tragic European past of their own people, they must have found it extremely difficult to identify with their degraded, dark-skinned neighbors.
So they said, yeah, they seem to suffer something in Europe, but it's obvious the way they live in and the way they treat these blacks, they having a hard time sympathizing. How you got burnt and thrown into so-called furnaces and your people were so-called gassed and you could burn this black man alive? Who can do that? Can you imagine us knowing what our fathers been through and we turn around and do it to somebody else? I don't want no retribution from y'all. I just want to be far away from y'all.
That's right.
Just put me in the swamp with me and my people. We're going to be all right. I don't want to do nothing to you. Listen, we're sorry. Take your sorry that way. I don't need to. All I need is my people and our father, our king. We're going to be all right. Can you imagine us burning people alive after we knew our grandfathers was burnt alive?
We ain't got time for that.
I got time. So
that's why the Most High said you'll be sold to the Sabians, because we not even going.
We don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Because me seeing you burn alive would evoke emotions of my grandfather being burnt alive. Who wants to relive that? Who wants to relive that? But you people been through a Holocaust and you come over to America like you don't know what suffering's about. Come on, people. Let's move on for the sake of time. Let's go to page 99. Y'all sitting down for this? We might have to get that organ in here to keep people up.
Most high, it's gonna keep gonna be up in here.
Take your time, brother. Take your time. Let y'all move.
In the South, where some divine rationale for slavery and anti-African violence was desperately needed, the rabbi's curse of Ham legend found a happy philosophical home in almost every Christian denomination.
Say that again.
In the South, where some divine rationale for slavery and anti-Israelite or African violence was desperately needed, they needed rationale. The rabbi's curse of Ham legend found a happy philosophical home in almost every Christian church.
Every Christian church accepted the Khazar rabbis' myth that these people are the cursed seed of Ham. And the non-Khazar white folks needed to hear that to make themselves be able to sleep at night. Yeah, I sold your baby off, Gina, but y'all cursed anyway. Yes, I beat your uncle to death, but y'all deserve it because the Bible says y'all the cursed seed of Ham. So the white Protestants got that from the Khazar rabbis and it made them sleep at night. And it says all Christian denominations had it. So what you doing talking about you're a Pentecostal, you're a Baptist, you're a product, you're a Khazarian product. All of them said we deserve to be burnt and whipped and raped. That's all we needed from that. Page 118. Page 118, fishy politics.
It's so wild too. When North Carolina joined a rebellion against the United States, the state made two changes to its constitution. It added a tax on African slaves, which further secured blacks as property, and it eliminated a long ignored law that disqualified Jews from holding office, further securing Jews as whites and full citizens.
So did y'all know North Carolina voted to secede? Did y'all know that? Did they teach y'all that in schools? You see this madness? So y'all was born in a state that wanted y'all in chains. And they made sure not to teach y'all that in y'all curriculums. And not only did they want you in chains, but now North Carolina says, let's change our state laws saying that these Jews, because they looked at the Jews as foreigners. But now the Jews got all the money and they got the most plantations. So let's change the law. Now you Jews could be in the politics. Now you got that old woman just died, Margaret, first female congressman, Kazar. Because y'all changed the laws for them because they was for slavery. We behind the 8 ball, and you want me to get in your line and vote in winter time, cold. I don't work 40 hours. I don't work 8 hours. I'm standing out in line cold at nighttime at your poll. Here, want some coffee? I know it's cold out here. Here's a sticker. Here's a pen. I voted today.
Your vote matters. They count.
Got my mama running the polls.
Oh my goodness, Gina.
Let me see.
My mother-in-law, the sweetest woman in the world, got us voting, and y'all already been against us from day one. Letting the Jews come into your politics because they want slavery. Fishy politics, family. It's been rigged from now. There's a hoopla over this black judge, first black female judge. Clarence Thomas. They let you in now because we know we can control you.
That's all it is.
Keep my friends close and my enemies closer.
All that is putting a front up so y'all can say we gave y'all something. We don't want to get her away from here.
So now you send somebody who look like me in my neighborhood.
But she be good for she go for the pedophile.
No, it's gonna be good to put this road in here because when we put this road through your neighborhood, you're gonna have access to better grocery stores.
We'll give you Obama, but he for the gays. Get him out of here, man. We ain't claiming
You see, but they're gonna send one look like you to push that on you. You want to put a road through here, but my granddaddy worked this field. This is the only property my granddaddy was able to buy. But it's gonna be better. You're gonna remember this field. I'm tied to this land because my dad. What's that movie? Mudslide. He said my granddaddy worked this land and he died with the soil of this land under his fingernails. But you want me to vote, put a road through here. Want us to forget about everything we've been through. Let's move on. Let's pick up some speed. We're about done. Page 121. And this is the last one for this one. Page 121, fishy Jim Crow via the 1877 Compromise. Anybody ever heard of the 1877 Compromise? Jim Crow.
Well, and we knew North Carolina was dirty and racist anyway. Like we knew that. Yeah, we knew that.
Let's read about Jim Crow and how they sold us out in 1877. Page 121.
Southern legislators began a filibuster and threatened national disorder and even civil war if their man Tilden was not awarded the presidency, and the Hayes camp was just as adamant.
So this man named Rutherford B. Hayes won the election, but he was what you would call in today's language, he was a liberal. Slavery had ended and the Confederates got kicked out. And our ancestors took over the slave masters' lands. And those Confederate soldiers, we took over their lands now. We're owning our own plantations. And Rutherford B. Hayes won the election, and he was like, yeah, let it be as it's going to be. The slaves are free now. So the Southern whites like, listen, we ain't conceding. If our man, y'all don't put him in office, we're revolting. We're going to burn everything up. Read on.
After many days of political chaos, a group of politicians from both parties secretly convened at the Wormley Hotel in Washington.
They got a secret meeting, both parties. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm a liberal. All the parties are against you. Psalms 83, the nations are confederate against you. So both parties couldn't agree what to do. So they come up with a secret meeting no one knew about at this hotel, the Wormley Hotel. Let's read what happens.
In Washington, they both parties secretly convened at the Wormley Hotel in Washington to attempt to resolve the conflict and save the Union from political disaster. On February 26, 1877, a deal was struck that would profoundly affect the course of history for Black people in America. No other event, not the Civil War, not the Emancipation Proclamation, so specifically and directly affected the future status of Blacks as a whole. The agreement stated that if Hayes were awarded the presidency, so they planned it, he would remove the federal troops in the South, and the former Southern slaveholding class would be free to return to power and establish new forms of slavery free from federal oversight and control.
So listen, Rutherford B. Hayes, we'll go ahead and back down and let you have the presidency, but just let us return to our plantations and let us get back control of the economy. Get rid of these Black people who you've put into Congress. Because we've been had these first Blacks,
Black Republicans.
we've been had people in office. It's in the South. They don't want you to know about that. We was, after the 1865, we was running the South. They got old pictures with the Black Congress Continental of the South. So they tell Rutherford B. Hayes, listen, we'll concede and let you have the presidency. Take these federal troops and tell Washington you don't need them no more. Because what were the federal troops doing in the South for us?
Protecting us from them coming back and
burning us,
back.
Putting us back on their plantations.
So this is only
2 years, 12 years.
Years from the emancipation.
You got to keep history at the forefront. After they said we was free, but Washington is way up there. Washington don't know. Gina, get your Black ass back here. Where you? So the feds didn't know that Massa ain't let my uncle go. The feds don't know. They come out burning you up if you don't come back to work tomorrow.
It ain't no social media. It ain't no internet.
Ain't no cameras. So they had to send federal troops to protect us. So they tell Rutherford B. Hayes, get these troops out of here and let us come back to the plantation and we'll go ahead and let you be president. Let's read what happens.
Jim Crow took immediate and wide-ranging effects. Lynchings, mass murders, racial programs, and general terror escalated. Black property was stolen, Black schools were targeted, Black voting rights were abolished. Whites moved Blacks out of employment in the trades and industry, effectively locking them into plantation labor and domestic service. Jewish scholar Morris U. Shapez called the Compromise of 1877 the great betrayal of the democracy and the Negro people. Political treachery that reduced Blacks to a state of economic poverty and political rightlessness. Further, the Wormley Hotel Agreement permanently established the very principles by which the American society, North and South, would institutionalize racial oppression.
So this sealed our fate, family. This sealed our fate as second-class citizens. Now, for the sake of time, can you find an area where it says who was responsible for selling this compromise to Congress? The man's responsible, because this was a secret meeting, but they had to get this compromise approved by Congress. And the man who got the job done,
on the next page.
Yeah, the man who sold this to Congress, who sealed our fate. What was he, Op?
The role played by a Jewish Louisiana congressman, William M. Levy, or Levi. In this monumentous event was monumental indeed. Once the deal was secured, the negotiators still had to return to Congress and persuade the combatants of both parties to buy into it. It was Levy who was entrusted to sell the deal to Congress and to assure his fellow Southerners that their interests had been protected. Sell the deal. You will be sold.
He sealed the deal and sold he sold both parties. Because remember, this meeting is in secret. Only a few from both parties know that they're meeting behind closed doors.
Because it says he was entrusted to sell the deal. So essentially, that's another. You're selling us back into slavery or affliction. You know what I mean? Like that's why I was reading it like that.
Come on,
if you're selling the deal is because it's wild, man. How this spirit, because this morning that's what I was thinking about. I was just once again thinking about like my history, and I was like, okay, my grandpa was 1919. I said slavery was 1865. That means Daniel, his father, he was just coming out of slavery and into this Jim Crow period, which then his son, which is James, my grandfather, was in the sharecropping. I was like, because I was watching, I think it was Ebry last night. They were saying it don't matter, but I'm like, but if he was getting rigged on his money in the early 1900s, and then his father would have been during this time right here, what we're reading now,
1877,
in the late 1800s, then it does matter because that is dragging that father down, which is making his son James start at a lower level and don't have nothing. That means by the time my father came up in the 60s and 70s, he started with nothing. And now it's me where it's like, of course, we got an opportunity to, like, if you do certain things, you can get a certain amount of wealth, but we're starting from so far behind that it does matter. You can't say that it don't matter. And if we go back at least one more, he's a straight slave.
Chattel, property. These curses are real.
And the whole way this started is from a Jew, Ish.
So to recap, because we about to bring this home, we about to hit you in the face with this. I don't have time to be nice and being all polished and using fancy words for you. We want you to see who our enemies are. And the most important part, this is giving glory to Abba Yah, that not one of his words is going to fail. Isaiah 58:11, Abba Yah is the great I am. What's happening to Ukraine is because our Abba Father, he said he was going to judge the nations who we serve and who afflicted us. So the compromise of 1877 to put us back on plantations, no more chattels, no more chains, but it's threat of jail. I'm going to burn your house down. I'm going to burn your baby up. So you didn't have chains anymore, but you had new chains.
This is the affliction.
This is the affliction. Last source. This is the book, again, it's by the Nation of Islam, but the Nation of Islam did not create these flyers. This book is nothing but a creation of flyers, bill of sales, promotions for slave auctions. That's all this book is. Those online, you see the cover? This cover is a bill, an advertisement for a slave auction. That's all this book is. So for the oppressors to say that this book is not is pseudo, how's this book pseudo when all these brothers did is went and collected old slave auction posts that y'all got in your libraries, and they took them and collected them into one book. So this book is not made up by us. We didn't make these bill of sales. Y'all made these bill of sales. So this is Jews selling blacks. Slave sale advertising by American Jews, Khazars, fish people. Not one black person made these bills. So this book, you can borrow it. It's also online, but I had to actually, for this one, I had to actually go to eBay for some reason. It's kind of strange. I couldn't find this on Amazon. I couldn't find this on the other book site. I had to go to eBay to get this. Why you don't want this on Amazon? This is a record of bill of sales, family. Shamoya, just read the posters the best you can. Page 13 to 17. Just read the bills.
This right here says, this day, the 11th of, I can't see what that is, but around 12 o'clock will be sold before our store. One Negro wench, a good washer and ironer, also an African wench with her daughter, a girl of about 14 years of age, and a prime African fellow.
Whose store is it? It says who owns the store?
Cohen and Moses.
Who owns the store?
Charleston City Gazette, by Cohen and Moses.
Cohen and Moses.
Cohen is priest, is what they try, Cohen is a priest, and then Moses, Masha.
This family of brothers.
So they're naming themselves after our people.
These fish people took the name Cohen. Cohen in the Yiddish is priest. We say Kanan. He's a Kanan or Kahanan. Kahan. So they turned Kahan into Cohen and made that their last name.
And then what's that Cohen? What's that? That might be something.
Koinonia is a Greek word for a family or a fellowship. So Cohen is their family name now, and Moses is their family name.
And that the judge Cohen and one.
And one of the judges named that. Y'all see how they changed their name? Would you take Hebrew? So here's a family, Cohen and Moses, having a slave auction in front of their store. This is the bill we're reading, fam. This is the advertisement. Keep going out to read as many as you can make out.
By Cohen and Moses on Monday, the 17th at 11 o'clock will be sold before our store 24 prime Africans, Israelites, all in good order, conditions 60 and 90 days of 1% per month discount for cash.
Oh, you can get them on discount. So all you need is 1% cash and pay me rent till you pay off your bill for these slaves.
This was in 1806 in November.
Yeah, read everything you can make out. Read everything you can make out. So you don't even need all the cash to get Hebrew slaves.
And this was in the Charleston City Gazette, so that's South Carolina.
We're trying to make that trip this summer, y'all.
I'm looking at my ancestry chart
Mhm.
that was done, a family tree,
Mhm.
and I'm seeing South Carolina family phase
All on there.
in 1810,
Mm.
all the way back 1849. Yeah.
So they was at one of these auctions.
32.
I guarantee they was at one of these auctions.
Yep.
The next one is in 1806, and these are like days and weeks apart so far. But it says, by Cohen and Moses, this day, the 18th, will be sold before our store 15. Okay, that's food there. Okay, this one. This is the 25th of 1806, November, Charleston City, so South Carolina, by Cohen and Moses. This day, the 25th, will be sold before our store. A smart and active African boy has been 2 years in the country, sold for no fault but to raise cash, which must be paid on delivery. Is that you will be sold for nothing? You were sold
not
for
sure.
no fault?
I'm not sure how they work their little business terms.
Gotcha. Here's another one. This day, the 25th, will be sold without reserve to raise cash. A likely country-born Negro girl, about 18 years of age, a good field hand, also an African boy, about 13 years of age, smart and active about the house, warranted sound. Conditions, cash. Cohen and Moses on Tuesday, the 6th of October, will be sold before our store without reserve. 2 Africans, 1 girl and boy, about 12 months in the city and near ages 14. Both of the above slaves are excellent depositions and warranted characters. accustomed to housework.
They're nice and friendly. They're not rebel slave disposition. Their dispositions is friendly. They've been broken. So if everybody went through slavery, why don't y'all have bill of sales like this still in the libraries? If everyone went through this, if your slavery was just as great as the Israelites, the Hebrews, why don't you have these records that you can show? Keep going. I'll read as many as you can. Let's jump for the sake of time. Let's jump over to page 56, 53 to 56, 53 to 63. Pages 53 to 63. Read as many as you can make out. These bills are so old that the writing is fading. But these are actual documents. You can go to the libraries and pull these resources up. They kept records of what they did to us.
Okay.
Notice a report. This is figure 107, New Orleans, August and November 21, 1828. A report being circulated that I have for sale no other than Kentucky slaves. I beg leave to state to the public that all the Negroes which I have on hand and shall hereafter keep for sale and will be Virginia-born Negroes of good character, that the person who has stated the contrary with the view of injuring me, I call upon this in public manner to come forward and support this charge if he can or hereafter hold his peace. All Negroes sold and bought by me for traders, excepting at my own house, will be free of commission.
Did it list the sellers there?
Jacobs.
So a lot of
I remember the Giants football player, running back, I can't think of his first name, but his last name was Jacobs.
Well, how about
Brandon Jacobs?
Brandon Jacobs, that's probably his owners, right? And where do all the rappers go to get their jewelry?
Jacob the jeweler.
Jacob the jeweler. Huh? You see how we know who you are? You are fish people. You are Khazars. You are responsible for our enslavement, our affliction, and our humbling.
and then they use them like Jacob the jeweler, the blind people, like, hey, yeah, come buy this. This is the popping thing. You know what I mean?
So
Like,
they get their money back.
Make sure they got a buyer for their merchandise.
So they get their money back.
and then they promote it through the music to make you want to. It's like a circle.
Yeah. They give them.
I control the music industry, so I control which one of your songs get put out first. Now you in your video with my chain on, you're gonna shout me out. Jake the jeweler got me iced up. I'm dripping like a.
So the next person gonna go to the same. It's just
Don't play me out, Jimmy. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. You know what I do. Don't play with me.
You said Cohen and Moses, or whatever, and they adopted the name Cohen. And I just find it funny that, Jay-Z and Dame Dash, their whole separation is because Leor Cohen, the fish guy, that ran the record, is that got in between them. And Jay-Z went and followed after Leor Cohen. And that's how he got where he at. But Dame Dash kind of like butted heads with him. So he speak out against him and call him a culture vulture and stuff like that. So that's why Dame Dash ain't nowhere near the status that he should have been, because Jay-Z sold out for the fish people, but Dame Dash didn't. But that guy named Leor Cohen is the name of the guy that run that thing.
Let me correct you though. Dame is to the status he should be, because in our community, he's a general. He never switched up. You don't get where you at and switch up. This man wasn't going on the before you blew up. You was in hole in the walls where jokers were outside waiting for you. I've been at the concerts. I done heard him say, tuck your chain in. So while Dame is going around with you to these holes in the walls and got weapons to protect your life, Leor Cohen wasn't out there with you. But you so street savvy. This fished and played you out, put a wedge between you and your brother. So Dame is on a level he should be. Because Dame still can go to his day ones and pull up in his neighborhood and shout the people out. Jay-Z can't go back, none of it. I just watched one pop up the other day. The dude needs to shout out in some of his songs. Said, Jay saw me at the concert, told me don't worry about nothing. I never seen Jay again. I had to go to trial with my life on the line with a public defender. How you got bread? You sitting in me to court with a public defender. I'm facing 20 to life.
But then
But you got my back.
and you do all this stuff for those other brothers that's in the industry. But like what we talked about privately, somebody that's giving you things or giving you money, like Jay-Z helping Lil Wayne pay his taxes or Meek Mill, you're doing that because you're gonna get them into the same little system that you in.
You need to come with my man Leo. Leo gonna hook you up and show you how to hide your money. He's gonna show you, because Jay-Z, not knowing who he is, you could do a wealth of good with your platform, speaking up like, listen, Flint, Michigan, we're the Israelites. They've been trying to kill you with your water because we the people. Can you imagine if he stood up and said that? But you not knowing who you are, and you with greed, then let this fish man come between you and your brother. Now you can't. It's funny. He had a lyric years ago when I was in the streets. He says, "And the streets say I can't go back home." You know when I heard that? When I was back home. But now you can't go back home. Nobody on your block. Your name's on the paperwork. Not knowing who you are, that you're the original Jew, listening to a fish, you can't even travel on your own block without security.
And they speak on black, quote unquote, issues, but it's like you said, because they don't know who they are, they don't know what they're lost out on or they're missing out on. The issues only relate to getting our people some type of freedom or equality or some type of status here. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
It doesn't equate to you going back to your original status.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Leroy Cohen ain't going to teach you that I got your culture. My people learned how to stack wealth together from your people.
So for example, just so somebody can know what I'm saying, even my boy, or even you say you like him too, LeBron. So they'll get Jay-Z, LeBron, they will fight for voting rights for black people. So they think, or whether they, whatever the case is, we fighting for our people to get rights because the white people, the Republicans, is suppressing the black vote. We don't care about that.
That ain't going to help us. That's not the answer to our plight.
So if
as long as I got your mind, what Shamaria is saying to those who may be new, and sometimes our conversations go so deep, I know we lose people. What he's saying, as long as they got your mind, they don't care what cause you rally for.
Yes.
As long as it's not you telling your people you shouldn't be eating swine.
Yes.
We're greater than them.
Exactly.
As long as you ain't preaching that, you okay.
Right. And your only enemies will be the whites who want to keep the status in their country, in this country.
As long as you ain't telling the people, well, I don't hate you and I don't want to kill you, but according to my text, I'm greater than you. Not because you're white, I'm greater than every other nation. Black, white, purple, if you come up with a new color that we ain't seen, I'm greater than that nation. As long as you ain't preaching that, they'll support you and put you out front. For the sake of time, let's go to the end. Let's go to page 136. This book is available. Check eBay out. Maybe Amazon came around because Bezos is probably one of those fish people too. But when I bought it, I had to go to eBay. It is nothing but a collection of old billboards and bill posts for slaves auctions. That's all this book is. This is how we say receipts. This is literally receipts.
So the first one is Jewish slave catchers, Matthias Bush. Matthias Bush, a member of the Lancaster, Pennsylvania Jewish merchantry, placed this advertisement in the summer of 1765, so it was still slaves, was committed to my custody on the 22nd day of this instant July, the following Negroes, a Negro man named Jack, aliases Tobias, and a Negro woman named Jane, wife to said Jack, Tobias and her 2 children, a boy 5 years old or thereabouts, and a girl about 4 years old. The man is about 34 years of age and the woman about 30. They have sundry good clothes with them. They say they belong to James Campbell in Coeney, I don't know how to say that, near Fort Loudon. Then the said Campbell is hereby desired to come pay the charges and take them away, or they will be sold for the same in about a month from this day by me.
Runaway slaves got caught by a fishman. And he's got to advertise, because remember, there's no internet. I don't know if the postal service is up and running. You know what year they came up, Queen?
Y'all just did it.
I thought they said the 18.
18. I'm not sure the postal system is up. So what you would do, pony and horse. So this fishman has to put advertisements up around the county and says, hey, I got these runaway slaves here. He's telling you who they are, or they told him who they were. So he's recorded on the sale and letting this man Campbell, who they told him, well, Mr. Campbell owns us. So now they're telling Mr. Campbell, if you don't come and pay my fee, my ransom, my reward for catching them, I'm selling them to somebody else.
1775.
Postal Service. So this is before, what year was this up?
Yeah, this is the decade before.
So the Postal Service wasn't up yet, so they couldn't go to the post office and send telegrams
I'm
and stuff.
sorry, 1706 to 1706.
Oh, well.
So Postal Service was here.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So
I mean,
still,
that,
it wasn't popular and up and running like we have now.
yeah.
So you might have went to a post office and put a billboard up in a post office.
Yeah.
Because back then they did have those.
So that's what he's doing. He's found these runaways. A 5-year-old boy, a 4-year-old girl, and a 34-year-old man has ran away and got caught. And now he's telling their owners, come get them, or I'm gonna sell them back to a heart and get more money from them. Family, get this book. It's a whole bunch of research and receipts. We know who we are. We know who sold us. You will be sold to your enemies, and that nation you serve, I shall judge. It's not white people, it's Khazars. Khazars. That's who sold us. White people are not our enemies. It's not about a skin, it's about a nation. That nation he's starting to judge. Y'all got skin cancer. Y'all got spots all over y'all. Y'all dying from COVID. Me and my wife caught COVID, and like the young used to say, we ate that.
Right.
By the power of the Most High Yah.
Gerald got something. Go ahead, Gerald.
And you know, it's funny that you stressing that, and that's a good point. And I'm glad you brought that out today. Exactly who the enemy is, the nation that, you know, that and it brought out in that book you read an excerpt how they went to Russia, they went to Ukraine, they went to some of the Caucasus. But I'm just thinking of like controlled opposition, how they try to, like, even other Hebrew camps and stuff, they want you focus on the Caucasus Mountains, or want you focus on just the white man in general, or whatever the case may be. But this type of research, this type of study, you know, help you identify specifically who they are, who the nation is, you know, and that's a good point you making, because a lot of these Hebrews, even in Awaken, don't even know that much. They don't know the books. They don't have that stuff. They just running by something that they heard somebody say and they just running with it, you know, but they not researching it. So I just think it's good that you are taking it as far, especially what was going on right now, you know, what Ukraine and everything. And it just really shows you what's happening. This is Bible prophecy that's playing out, because a lot of people, you know, the world, the media been picking on Russia for a while, but you know, you would think, why Ukraine? Why is he focused on Ukraine? Like, why is he putting that pressure on Ukraine? But I'm glad you brought this information out, because it does clear everything up and then help you understand what's really going on.
I try not to cause strife inside the community, because even those brothers, there are roses that's growing through the concrete. A lot of these brothers are coming, like, you know, my little neck of the woods, we seen stuff towards the end of our 20s, like we wouldn't recognize our city. But some of these brothers are coming from what we call like Chirac, where 12-year-old honor kids are getting wet up. Some of these brothers are coming out of gangbanging where, you know, all they know. So I try to salute and praise that at least you're trying to study the holy word. But like you said, I've been saying it Y'all just repeating things y'all heard. Every white man don't come from the same loins. And to me, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna move on. You're being subjective and selective with your scholarship. You're saying, you're trying to ram down people's throats that we're not Hamites, and just because we have dark skin, we're not all the same, but you're gonna say all white people are the same. You sound foolish. You sound foolish. So we got receipts who the enemy is and who we are. Going back to Genesis 15 and 13. And it was said to Abram, thou shalt surely know that thy seed shall be a sojourner in a land not their own. We brought this out. When you do the research, Goshen is our land. Goshen is part of Abraham's inheritance. So that again exit out Egypt being part of this prophecy. And then he continues on, and they shall enslave them, 1, afflict them, 2, and humble them, 3, for 400 years. This prophecy is almost over and is happening around the world, not just in America. We're seeing it live and direct in Ukraine. Now, all of those dark-skinned people may not be Hebrews, but I'm willing to bet you a few of them are. So we're being oppressed around the world, even to this day. We may not be in chains, but we're still being afflicted and humbled. This prophecy is happening, and we can pinpoint who is the nation that the Most High is going to judge. Y'all remember I said a couple months ago, when you're looking at these old maps, try to identify the rivers or the bodies of waters, because for some reason, I guess by the power of the Most High, most of these old waters, rivers, and oceans still have the same name. And that's how you can recognize, because the countries have been conquered by different people groups, different nations. So some nations have changed names or titles, but those bodies of waters, I guess by the power of the Most High, we could recognize that area, and the shape might have changed from soil erosion and different things, but you still can make out the area, the region of the world. So this is Khazaria, and you see the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. The Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and it's right on top of Byzantine. Byzantine is New Rome, or is the eastern side of the Roman Empire. Y'all see Constantinople right there? That's where Constantine set up his headquarters at. But this is all Rome. This is all Rome. And Khazaria is right on top. Khazaria is right on top, right? Y'all see Baghdad to the bottom of the screen? Baghdad is Iraq, Babylon, right? So to the north of Babylon is Khazaria, right? Y'all see how the map may change colors? They may change labels depending on who made this map, but the bodies of the waters are still there. Khazaria. Khazaria. You see the Abbasid Caliphate? Caliphate is just the Muslim titles for their leaders back in the day. They became known as caliphs. Caliphs. Anybody ever heard of Caliph Muhammad? Caliph is a Muslim or Arabic word, Shemitic word for like a chief or a leader. You see Mesopotamia? That's Babylon. Oh, all praises, hallelujah, hallelujah. For the sake of time, I won't do this, but we always learn things on the way to learning things. Y'all see Georgia there?
That's Russia.
Georgia is part of Russia. When we say Georgia, what are we saying? What are we saying? Why are they naming that land Georgia?
They were sent away.
Not necessarily. So Georgia is really pronounced Georgia. Georgia. Georgia is near and dear to my heart because that's where my family is from, and on this side of the water. Georgia. Georgia means this land belongs to King George. King George, Gia means land, earth. Y'all see how that validates Jesus? That G sound, it equates to earth.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
That's another witness that Jesus is the earth pig. Because Georgia or Georgia is the land of King George.
Gotcha.
If you, I had a bookmark to show you all today. We've got so much going on. Go to etymonline.com and type in Georgia, and it's going to break down Georgia. Etymology is George, King George, and Gia means land, earth. So when we tell Christians you're calling on Jesus, you're calling on the earth sow, the pig of the earth. And to the Romans and to the pagans, that's not disrespectful because the pig is something celebrated for them. But for us, it's disrespectful to call my Messiah the earth pig. Earth pig.
And it makes so much sense too about that possibility of Putin trying to reconnect the basically USSR or what was all of Russia, because if they already got Georgia, Russia, they already got Crimea, and then we know that the Ish people are over there tearing up his neighbors and threatening an alliance with NATO and putting troops on his borders. Why wouldn't you just go ahead and take that back over and shore that whole little thing up? It just seemed like it makes sense.
And thinking like even though we know this is the power of Yah raising Putin up, but y'all want world domination anyway. And y'all never forgot that you lost Russia, that y'all almost had Russia in your hands and got kicked out and got got booted out. So that's just a sidebar on a way to learn something. Georgia, the land of George, and that's verified that Jesus is the earth pig. But again, we're pointing out where Khazari is at, right?